Sons of UCF Live. The Sons is the way.
Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trey Strelko. Welcome into the Sons of UCF Live. Hello, Adam. Hello, Puxatawny Mike. Hello.
It's Groundhog Day again.
Did you see your shadow? Do we have 6 more weeks of winter, or what is it exactly? I don't think there's a lot of science in that whole groundhog thing.
6 more weeks of Johnny Dawkins debates.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's for sure. Boy, starting right off with that.
Right off with a bang. Here we go.
Right off with that. A little football news. We got a media release yesterday saying that there'd be a press conference today. I'm out of town for work, so I couldn't make it. And we were expecting to see head coach Gus Malzahn via Zoom. And then an advisory went out this morning saying that he would not be available, which all, of course, seems concerning. 2 weeks since we got a statement from Coach Malzahn about his wife. So no news on that for folks that are wondering. I was hoping that Coach Malzahn appearing via Zoom would have been a positive development for him and his family today.
Yeah, all you can do, Trace, is just keep your prayers in order and keep thinking about the family. I, the same as you, thought this was a good sign. Perhaps this meant, although he wouldn't be there in person, that he had some time. He felt good about some things. Tough to speculate. I don't know what came up. Maybe it was an appointment with a doctor. Maybe it was something completely unrelated. But it would have been great to hear from Gus. But I know, the coordinators, both Travis Williams and Chip Lindsey, filled in, did a really nice job explaining the signing day class. But again, our continued thoughts are with Gus and his family as they go through this battle, and hopefully everything turns out on the good side at some point.
Yeah, you'd like to see him on the Zoom, but really, we're not missing much not having him there. I'm sure he's got much more important things to deal with right now. So it's okay. And it's good experience for the coordinators because, one day these guys are going to be head coaches. They're going to be doing these kind of events all the time. So good for those guys.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, Travis Williams and Chip Lindsey, the new offensive coordinator, just been here a couple of weeks. They announced the 8 transfers, names that we've heard of, 4 on offense, 4 on defense, to go with the 15 announced on early signing day. And then a couple of preferred walk-ons today. But boy, the early signing day has eclipsed the traditional national signing day all over the place.
I thought it was interesting. I think Travis Williams was the one who kind of said essentially that, they continue to recruit, and they're even holding some spots open, anticipating more transfers coming after spring and into fall. So clearly, you see where the directional compass is pointed for a lot of schools. And, it's a tough call because, UCF nets a 3-star preferred walk-on quarterback today, right here from their own backyard at Cocoa High School, a kid who normally would have been probably a guy who gets a scholarship, but that's just the way these dominoes are falling these days, unfortunately. So, you'll reap some benefits, but the portal has changed, and T-Will said it best. Gus has done a great job positioning them to understand what they need and what they want to go after. And today, really only announcing 8 transfers that we already kind of knew about. While anticlimactic, the names that I'm popping up on screen here, I mean, you got to be excited about some of these names because obviously we're going to add a ton of talent to both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and the transfer portal is going to keep adding people because just now, right before I signed in here, I noticed Auburn's number 1 receiver is in the transfer portal again, a different number 1 receiver.
Speaking of Groundhog Day.
So, I mean, and anytime anybody from Auburn enters the portal, the first place you think they're going is going to be here. So, we may have a whole new roster of Auburn players here in the next couple of weeks.
One of the people that spoke today is tight end Kamor Gamble, who went to the University of Florida, was there previously. He mentioned that seeing UCF beat up on the Gators during the Gasparilla Bowl caught his eye about UCF. So that was an interesting statement. I think perhaps who stole the show in the press conference, that question, who wins the press conference, is the Ole Miss transfer, the quarterback, John Rice Plumlee. He certainly sends all the right vibes, doesn't he?
Yeah, this kid's pretty smooth. I mean, he's going to be one of those soundbite guys. Says a lot of the right things. We were talking before we came on, Trace. I think the word you used was Tebow-esque in his delivery and his demeanor and kind of the way that he speaks. But if he can't throw a football, he's not going to be at the podium too often. So we'll see how that pans out. But he certainly did a great job at the microphone today.
Obviously, the quarterback's most important job is on the field, but you always want your quarterback to be the leader, the voice of the team, the face of the team. This guy seems like he's going to be able to do that. So good first day for him.
He talked about how running can help wear down a defense and open up other aspects of the offense. Also was asked, was the job QB1 kind of promised to him. But he says that he is very interested, of course, in competing for this job, spoke highly of everybody in the quarterback room, also indicated that he's waiting on a waiver that will allow him to perhaps play for Coach Lovelady and the baseball team. So that's interesting how he's dividing up his time. But he also spoke highly, as we'll hear from him here now, about his offensive coaches.
Going into the transfer portal, having conversations with them again. Obviously, they're all in on me playing quarterback, and that's what they want me to do. And so I'm really excited that I get the opportunity to do so under two great offensive minds, Coach Lindsey and Coach Malzahn.
That quarterback controversy. You got to love it heading into spring camp in just a couple of weeks.
Well, I think it's, interesting, he obviously had switched to receiver at Ole Miss. Clearly he said in that presser that quarterback was where his heart was at. Obviously Gus and Chip offered that same opportunity for him to come play quarterback. So clearly that's where the arrow is pointed in. And let's see if Gus and Chip can figure out ways to use him. How does he stack up against the rest of the guys in the quarterback room? Obviously he brings some experience to the table. I think this thing is still an open race at this point. I don't know that anybody has this thing locked down. Even I guess the incumbent. Do we call him the incumbent, and Mikey Keene, or any of the new guys? It'll be interesting to see how this breaks out. But obviously, Plumlee came here for a reason. Gus and Chip. I don't know if Chip was involved in his recruitment. I'm not sure what the timeline was on when Chip got here versus when John Rice decided. But clearly, they see him as a quarterback. So I guess buckle up. We'll see what we got here.
Yeah, obviously it's a two-man race right now in most people's eyes between Keene and Plumlee. But don't count out these young guys. I mean, Castellanos looks like he's going to be a player, and this kid Widner looks like I've seen him play once before. He looks good to me. So I think I like the way the quarterback room's shaping up with the four guys. And let's see, maybe Plumlee's only going to be here for a year, so he'll be able to pass the torch to one of the younger guys.
Doesn't he have more eligibility than just 1 year?
He's got more, 2 or 3?
I think he has two.
Yeah. And by the way, if Coach Mike says that he looks good, then that's all. That's all we need to know. We're prepared for spring camp. We've heard it. A couple of defensive guys, of course, transferring in. We've mentioned Auburn defensive tackle Lee Hunter, defensive end Katie McDaniel of Kentucky, and as we talk a little bit about what we're losing on the defensive line, you see some opportunity that they're plugging some holes there. And I asked my question this week, what do you think of the offensive line in 2021? Favorable reviews, nearly 30% said excellent, 62% nearly said good, just some said fair. Some losses there, though. Big Cat and, of course, Kalia Davis, who's thrown his hat in for the NFL as he recovers from injury. So you could see that they were addressing some needs in the portal.
It's funny. I think before the season, we all gushed at how we thought the D-line might be the most dominant position group that we had on the field. And then injuries took its toll pretty quickly. Ricky Barber goes down. Kalia Davis goes down. Tremont Morris-Brash misses a couple games for disciplinary reasons. And that nucleus never really got settled from a D-line standpoint. But towards the end of the year, they were really humming on all cylinders. I think they were clearly the strength of the defense at times. I guess that in the secondary. Big Cat, while not maybe your traditional D lineman, stepped in, played well on that. The buck position, I think it's called. So I think the rating of good is appropriate in this case. I think that team's that unit stepped up. A couple guys in particular, I think Keenan Hester got forced into some duty and played really well. And so you saw some good things out of him. And Josh Seliskar, I know this is like Mike's favorite player, but Seliskar week after week continues to show some good things. So you got to like the youth. You got to like some of the experience. If you can stay healthy, you would think this is another year, cross your fingers, where this position group is a strength for UCF.
Yeah, they got off to a bit of a slow start early in the year. We kept asking where all the sacks were going to come from the first couple of weeks. I think if that was a little cleaned up earlier, this voting might have been excellent instead of good. But they really did pick up the slack, like you said, in the second half of the year. And that helped the secondary grow a little bit, give them not have to cover for as long with these guys getting as much pressure. Seliskar is my sleeper pick for next year's breakout player of the year. So you've already been warned on that one. How
have you done with your breakout players of the year in the Sunny Awards? Has any of that turned out? I mean, should we take that to the bank? Your breakout?
We're still tabulating those results, Trace. Check back. The voting machines are down.
I never remember who I voted for at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, and Adam never writes it down, so I really can't tell you.
Yeah.
Of course, a couple of recruits by Gus Malzahn on early signing day. You see the work that they're doing in the portal. A lot of work being done, of course, building to 2023 and what we expect will be moving into the Big 12. Going to lose Big Cat. That is certainly a loss. And we know the loss that we've experienced, with the Knights experience we saw as fans during the 2021 season when Kalia Davis went down to injury. And he joins us now on the Sons of UCF Live. Kalia, welcome in, and congratulations on that NFL Combine invite. How you doing? How you feeling?
Thank you, man. I feel great, man. I'm just out here. I'm in Pensacola, Florida right now, training for the Combine and stuff, rehabbing. So it feels good. I'm getting 1% better every day. That's what I try to do.
That is the right message. We saw your reaction, of course, on the ESPN Plus series, Our Time. Take us back through what you remember of that play when you went down, and did you think it was as serious as it turned out to be?
On that play, I most definitely felt the pop, but, I didn't really think that it was anything serious, because at that time I was feeling like I was Superman, but Superman has a weakness too. But so when I found out, walking to the locker room, I needed help to walk to the locker room. So that was concerning off the rip. But, when I found out the next day my MRI results, that's when it really hit me. So I knew at the chance, because in the ESPN show, you can see me crying because I knew of the chance of it being a torn, because that's what they told me. I might have torn my ACL, so that right there, that hurt me. But it hurt even more when it was confirmed. So.
Katie, we saw an unprecedented number of injuries, particularly with your position group on the D line. What does it say, though, about the rest of the guys who stepped up, the Keenan Hesters, the Montalvos, all those guys who stepped up and just continue to play their hearts out? Josh Seliscar, how proud of those guys were you as you kind of had to watch from afar at how you saw them grow and how well they performed?
I'm very proud of those guys, man. Any team in the college football, like they were to experience what we went through last year. I don't think that – I feel like the best case scenario is what happened last season. 9-win season, beating Florida in the bowl game. Hats off to those guys, man. They really played – they played for us, and I really felt like they played for me, out there. And, Keenan, Cam, Ricky, Barber, all those guys stepping up, man. I'm very proud of them, bro.
You had another year. If you wanted to come back next year, you could have done that, and you could have proven to everybody the leg is fine. Did this injury have any influence on your decision to enter the draft, or was it just time for you to go anyway?
I mean, I've been at UCF for 5 years already. COVID year is a blessing for a lot of people, but I just felt like, it was my time. I'm 23 years old, so I feel like I've, my game translates to the next level. So, it was pretty much, my feelings on if I wanted to give it a shot or not. And I felt like that was the decision that was right for me.
You posted that photo of your signing day and 5 years later and how you may have changed a little bit. What was it like transitioning from different coaches, and tell us what it's like to play for T-Will?
Oh, man, it was just 3 different coaching staffs. It was 3 very different coaching staffs too, so I got love for all of them, man, but really it's just like, I feel like with the 3 coaching staffs, I learned a lot about defense, because there's 3 different, totally different defenses. So I actually learned a lot about defense. So I feel like that made me a better player, in playing for T-Will. He's just so young and energetic. We want to go make a play for him, because he's going to go out there and run and jump and be your biggest fan on the sideline. So, I most definitely wanted to make plays playing behind T-Will, because I just know what I was going to come back to on the sideline, just a lot of running and jumping up and screaming and stuff. So, yeah, T-Will he's a very good defensive coordinator.
Katie, obviously another change in college football has been the transfer portal, and UCF certainly has benefited from that in a lot of respects. Obviously, Big Cat was a big name, but can you talk a little bit about Ricky Barber for a second? He's a kid who a lot of high hopes for him, got injured early on. I don't know if he ever really got to full strength. You saw him day in and day out in practice. How good do you think Ricky Barber can be, and what kind of year do you expect from him next season?
Oh, he's next up, most definitely. I like him to be the leader of the defense next year. So he's most definitely underrated. But I feel like what I've seen, before the Louisville game, it was just like it was unstoppable on the inside. So like a healthy Ricky Barber, I feel like he's going to lead the defense next year and just be like a force in the middle.
Obviously, getting healthy is probably priority number one. But what do you feel you have to improve on most between now and Combine Day or Pro Day?
Well, yeah, you mentioned it. My very first step, my team has been talking about is just getting my knee right. The NFL coaches just want to see the progress of my knee, and just get their hands on it and just see how it's coming along. But I really feel like my knowledge of the game should take another step forward, because I know D-line stuff, and I came from linebacker. I feel like I know a lot more than most of the D-line in the draft, but just because I played linebacker. But just knowing coverages and stuff, because we got a D-line coach at Exos. His name is Fred Robbins. He played 10 years in NFL for New York Giants and stuff. He was just laying knowledge on us. He was saying, in this coverage, the quarterback wants to look at this, look this way, so you want to get your hands up in this coverage. I didn't know any of that. So just, learning from Fred, just getting my knowledge of the game up. I want to focus on that and getting healthy.
Where are you on your time frame here and your timetable in your recovery?
I'm almost 3 months out. It'll be 3 months on the 15th of February. So I'm feel like I'm ahead of schedule. I started some field work today on the grass, and it felt good.
And you would expect to be cleared to play. What sort of time frame are you looking at in 2022?
Recovery is usually 6 to 8 months. So I could probably be back a little sooner than that, but I'm not in any rush. Whenever it feels great, that's when I would want to be back on the field, full pads and stuff.
Giddy, obviously the injury was a tough blow, but you seem to really enjoy your time as a fan once you got injured. I saw you in the cabana for a couple games. I know you were up bouncing around talking to a bunch of fans. How much did you enjoy just being kind of a regular UCF student and just being a fan for those couple of weeks when you couldn't get on the field?
Man, it was awesome, man. I see why, the bounce house is sold out almost every week, man. I just always wanted to experience that before I left, so it was a very good experience. I went tailgating one time with was it? I forgot what the tailgate name was. I'm gonna think about it, but yeah, it was a lot of hospitality, man. A lot of people showing love. I just wanted to go into the crowd and show love as well.
Obviously, getting to the NFL is the ultimate dream, and it really doesn't matter which team it is. But what team did you grow up rooting for? What would be the dream scenario for you?
I've always been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, so that'll be dope, going to play for Tampa. And but it's a dream to even be in the conversation of, being drafted in the NFL. So any team that takes a chance on me, they're gonna get 100% in my all.
But close to home is ideal. Your family gets to go, instead of going to Seattle or something where you got to go across the country. Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, those would be the top three, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. That would be anybody's dream scenario to play at home. So, but at this point, I'm blessed to even be here.
Who are your breakout guys that are coming back that you see breaking out, really making a name for themselves on this D line in 2022?
D line, breakout. I would say. That is a good question. I would say I don't know how y'all would judge people who already broke out, but I would say, Keenan Hester. I would like him. I don't know if y'all think he broke out yet, but I see him having a monster year next year. But Ricky Barbers and the Cam Goods, I feel like they're established, but Keenan, I feel like, he's a young guy. I don't know how many years of eligibility he got, but he's a fairly young guy, and I feel like he's going to have a really good year next year.
Yeah, I think he stepped in nice, Katie. I mean, obviously you going out, Ricky going out for periods of time. I mean, for a young kid to step in and make a bunch of plays, I thought he played really well. One of the guys I'm interested to get your feedback on is Tremon Morris-Brash. It seems like whenever this kid is able to get to the quarterback, he finds a way to get to the quarterback. So you're going to go to the NFL. So this is a question I can ask you now. It's a gambling question. If I set the over-under next year for 7.5 sacks for Tremon Morris-Brash, you taking the over or the under?
I feel like I'm gonna take the over on that because I know we're losing a couple of guys, but I feel like our D line is still a force to be reckoned with. So I don't see many double team opportunities for drop on the edge. So I like him 1-on-1 to at least get 10 sacks next year.
Can you explain to people who obviously don't know or don't play how much of a skill it is to be able to get to the quarterback? I mean, he's got to bend his body, go around tackles, rip moves. What kind of skill set goes into being a guy who can consistently get to the quarterback?
Man, you got to be – it takes a lot of skill, especially on the end. I don't know if y'all remember, but 2019 at the beginning of the year, I played the end. It was very hard to get to the quarterback. I moved to the 3 technique and the 1. It got easier to get there, So on the edge, I feel like it's tough, man. You got to be very athletic out there, So
You've been a part of a lot of big moments over the last few years, a lot of huge games at home. What's your favorite home game memory? Not counting this year hanging out in the cabana, but just when you're on the field, what was the best atmosphere, best game for you?
Oh, I feel like Boise State most definitely because we faced a lot of adversity being down 21. I don't think I've ever been down 21 in my life, So, just that comeback win right there, that was just, and just being on the sideline, seeing what type of guys we have on the team. I feel like a lot of teams in the country would have been down, would have been down and out, but I didn't see anyone waver on the sideline. So that was a great game to see what type of people we had on our roster.
And this is a team that faced some lows, some challenges, some adversity, injuries, and the like. How did the locker room stay together? Who were the leaders that stepped up, and how did everybody keep it together?
The leaders who stepped up, I feel like, Big Cat. It was Big Cat. Drop. He's very vocal. Devad Wilson. Those guys and Tatum Bethune. They stepped up, and I feel like they kept everyone into it. Because it was very tough, seeing a lot of key players go down. But, it would be very easy to, flinch. But I feel like those guys did a great job keeping everybody together and keeping everybody on track to the goal that we had.
Katie, I try to pride myself on staying out of bad situations, and I can't think of a worse situation than being on the bottom of a fumble pile. You, as a football player, you've obviously been on a fumble pile. What's the worst thing, maybe the dirtiest thing you've seen happen on the bottom of a fumble pile?
Okay, I'm going to take it back all the way to high school. We was playing a team called Booker T. Washington. I recovered a fumble, and it was just, when you're recovering a fumble, you just know that it's a couple of guys that's about to fall on you. So you got to brace yourself for that, Make sure the football isn't on your stomach, that could really hurt. But at the bottom of the pile, I think it was a quarterback, he poked me in my eye. So it's just it's very dangerous in the pile. You want to try to stay out of the pile as much as I would like to recover that fumble and just get up and just start running before everybody can fall on me if I could go back.
What? I assume you're going to be bigger than the quarterback of Booker T. Washington. What do you say after you get poked in the eye by the quarterback on the fumble pile?
Well, I was, me. I was trying to get 15 yards out of it. I'm going to the ref. I'm like, he poked me in my eye, but I didn't get anything out of it, but a very watery eye. So, and I think it took me out for a quarter at least. But I didn't go up to him after the game and say, hey, man, what was that about? I think we won by a decent amount, like 30 plus.
Have you ever hit a quarterback so hard that you actually apologized to him after the hit, that you felt bad for how badly you hit him?
No, I haven't, man. I maybe I should in the future because I feel like I hit a couple quarterbacks this year very hard. But I didn't check up on them after the game or anything, man. I apologize.
All right, the big game coming up in less than 2 weeks, Super Bowl. Who do you got Rams, Bengals. Who are you rooting for? Who you think's gonna win?
I like an underdog story, so I'm gonna have to go with Joe Burrow, because the Rams, they beat Tampa Bay this year, so I'm a little upset with them. But I played against Joe Burrow one time, and I think it's cool that he's there in his second year. So I want the Bengals to win.
Yeah, remember that Joey Connors hit? It certainly made some news over the last week or so, and all that talk of propelling his career. Kalia, you and I have exchanged messages. You know that my nephew's recovering from knee surgery. He is inspired by the work you're putting in, and we wish you continued success and keep working. You're showing it that you're going to be a success at this next level.
Thank you, man. Hey, your nephew is inspiring me as well. Like I love those videos you send me, man. And I just want him to just keep going at it. I'm trying to get to where he's at, man. I appreciate you.
Kalia Davis, we thank you for stopping by the Sons of UCF Live tonight.
All right, y'all have a good night, man.
All right.
Katie,
Thanks, man.
Katie, are you going to continue the newsletter really quickly? I know you're doing a newsletter thing throughout the year. Are you going to continue that newsletter? Is that something fans can maybe keep checking out from you?
Yeah, most definitely. I took a break after the season, but I've been focusing on rehab and stuff. But I feel like I should reboot it back after I get drafted.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone keep an eye out for Katie's Twitter. I'm sure you'll see a bunch of newsletter releases. That was really cool stuff, man, throughout the year. We appreciate you putting that together.
Appreciate it, man. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks
Thanks,
Kalia.
Katie.
Yep.
Thank you.
Until he puts out that newsletter again, Mike, I think you should work on maybe a weekly newsletter.
Yeah, Adam and I, we started the website, and we were
Yeah.
supposed to be putting articles or whatever on there. We each did one, and then it's been a year now, and maybe it's time to do a second one. But my schedule between this and work and 2 kids and softball and the wife.
Here we go. And
There
training
we
for
go.
the 5K. I'm sure you're going to work
training for
that
the 5K.
in.
Exactly. You're lucky I'm here right now.
Well, KD, we wish him well. Glad that he could stop by and talk with us about his recovery and the defense. Perhaps, Mike, an article idea, since you all talked about Johnny Dawkins' truthers on your show this week and that crowd that's getting a little more restless. Maybe you could put together maybe we do a little point counterpoint on the website.
Pros, cons, weigh it out. That's okay. I'm not
Dawkins or Doc out.
No, that was my idea for a segment 2 weeks ago. We haven't done it yet. But there you go.
That's not as profane as more recent.
I proposed that and Twitter or shitter at the same exact time, and Adam chose the Twitter one. So
it's different to hear profanity on this program, the podcast. I don't know if there need to be parental warnings, but Britt, cover your ears. Men's basketball, we're on Wednesday, of course, because the men war on I-4 renewed with the Cows. Of course, it didn't go well the last time, a couple weeks back in Tampa. Knights just out-hustled, out-rebounded the whole night, a disaster. But they hope to shake it off, coming off the loss. I actually thought there were moments that they played well, certainly when they cut it to 4 against number 7 Houston. Houston is a talented team. Where do you guys stand going into this one? We say it every week, must win, obviously, rivalry game, home game. Got to beat the Cows, even this up for the year.
Yeah, you can't lose to the Cows again. You can't lose to them at home. Obviously, at 4-5 in conference, we can't continue to drop conference games. And the Cows, we owe them one now. So this is bigger than just a tournament thing or, a Johnny Dawkins truther thing. We've got to beat our little brothers here. So I don't throw out the records of this one. They embarrassed us last time we were up there, and we need revenge. So this one's got to be a resounding victory. That Mike said, I think on the show this week, this is the basketball version right now of 64-12. So we need that that payback, and we have a great opportunity right now. It's not like football; we got to wait a whole 12 months. We had to wait a total of like 3 weeks. So I definitely need to see them come out and give it to the Cows for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if we're undefeated right now or we haven't won a game. These 2 games every year are the ones you circle. They're rivalry games. They already got us once. We cannot lose both games to these guys. It's at home. And if you're putting it in perspective of the season, it is a must win. You can't go to 4-6 in this conference and think you're going anywhere.
Now, we get asked a question in the mailbag about how you see the record playing out after this Thursday game on the road at Memphis. That is a place that UCF has not played well in over the years. Of course, they beat the Tigers a couple weeks back at home, and then they host Wichita State with that great time period of 9 o'clock, tip time 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night. So those are coming up. doesn't get any easier. Big statistic that my takeaway from that game in Tampa was not the 75-51 loss. It was the out-rebounded 53-26. And Coach Dawkins asked during his media availability this week, what needs to improve for the game on Thursday?
Well, rebound the basketball. It's got to be something we have to really concentrate on. I mean, they doubled us up in rebounding, which means that was a tremendous effort by them. We have to do a lot better job of rebounding the ball on both ends of the floor.
All right, let us ask BJ Taylor, who stops by Suns Live now, his thoughts. BJ, welcome in this evening. Let's go back. You and I exchanged messages. You were at the game. I thought they played pretty well for good parts of that game against Houston.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know, good to see you guys, Adam, Trace, Mike, especially good to see you, brother. But yeah, no, Houston is a very good basketball team, to say the least. I mean, I know it's a pretty obvious statement, but sometimes we all have to be reminded why Houston is on a double-digit game win streak, why they are now 19-2, why this is a team that made the Final Four last year, and why Coach Kelvin Sampson is one of the best coaches in college basketball. And whenever an NBA job opens, he's always one of the guys that they consider. So, yeah, Houston played really well. And like you said, we played well for stretches, but that's kind of the challenge when you're playing really good teams, right? Again, you kind of see it in all sports, but you can play really well for stretches, but when you're an elite basketball team like Houston is, you play well for 40 minutes. You play well for at least 38, 37 minutes, right? They don't make a lot of mental errors. They don't make a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. And, you know, I think playing against them, there was a lot that our guys can learn and kind of see what it's like to be one of the best, you know, college basketball teams in the country.
BJ, for obviously any team, right? It's a make-miss league, right? You shoot well, you're gonna score. But one thing that we had talked about a few shows back was the effort, the energy. What did you think, at least, of the effort and energy? Obviously, to your point, Houston, a really good team, number 7 in the nation for a reason. How did you think UCF came out just from an energy effort perspective on that game?
Well, I think we came out strong, right? I mean, Darren came out and made the 3 threes early. I think we were hyped up, ready to go. Great atmosphere, great turnout by Night Nation. So I think the energy was there to start, but again, it's sort of the sustaining it. It's sort of the keeping it going that was the issue, right? Houston came out not as strong as they wanted to, but they were poised. They didn't get rattled. They weren't concerned about us jumping out to an early lead. They just kind of, you know, clawed their way right back into it. So for our guys, you know, you kind of see the physicality, the toughness, those sort of things you have to bring to the table to match a team like Houston, because Houston's going to be and it has a chance to make the Sweet 16 and make another Elite 8 run. So I think for our guys, sustaining that level and sort of seeing what you have to bring to the table to compete against teams like that is the main takeaway for us moving forward for the rest of conference play.
Yeah, obviously we got to put that one behind us. So it's gone now. It's rivalry week. We got the Cows again. They beat us up really bad the first time. What has to change going into this game?
Yeah, well, we can't let them bully us on the boards. They bullied us on the boards, no pun intended with the bull. But they did. They had 20 offensive rebounds. They came out at home, played really well. So for our guys, they have to match that intensity level, right? Because USF is going to have the same game plan that they had last time. They're going to say, listen, we're not really good shooters. We're not actually that talented of ball players, but we can hustle, we can rebound our misses, and we can put it back up, right? So for our guys, they have to come with a mindset that says, listen, we know what the scouting report is on us. We know what other teams are going to try to do, right? It's really not rocket science, right? Like, we're going to just try to offensive rebound against us and put the ball back in the hoop. It doesn't take a ton of skill to do that. So that's what USF is going to do. And our guys have to match, you know, have to kind of take that personally, right? You have to take that sort of thing and be like, you're not just going to bully us under the rim. You're not going to push us around. So like you said, tomorrow night, rivalry game, and we'll see how it goes. It's in our house. So we should come out with a sense of pride in protecting that place.
Put on your coaching hat for a second here. When Brandon Mahan is not hitting that 3, what would you do with him?
Yeah, I think for Brandon, he's an interesting player, right? Because the thing he does best is make off the dribble contested shots, right? And that's not something that's very common, right? Most players, you want to make open shots, you want to get good looks, you're really good at creating space so that you can get to the rim or something like that, right? The thing he does best is it's different. You know, it's like you put the ball in his hands and he makes difficult shots. So when he's missing, it doesn't look very good, right? Because the shots aren't, great shots. But when he's hitting them, nobody complains, right? When he made them against Michigan, we didn't have any issues with it. When he made them against ECU to help us come back, we didn't have issues with him, right? So for a guy like Brandon, because he is the best scorer we have off the bounce, at this point, you kind of have to figure out ways to try to get him going, because when he gets it going, we win. I mean, the games we've won, he's usually been pretty successful. So, I mean, it's at this point, it's figuring out a way to try to get the best out of him, really.
One of the guys who came in new this year, BJ, was Bakke, big guy down low. How would you assess how UCF's used him so far? And would you like to see them do anything different with him, either getting him more touches in the post or getting him involved pick and rolls? How would you assess so far the play of Bakke and how Johnny Dawkins has used him?
Yeah, well, Adam, I'm really happy that you asked me about Bakke, because he doesn't get enough love and attention, and I'm one of Mbakke's biggest fans. I think that young man is exceptional. I think you can win a lot of games with a center like him. He has a great head on his shoulders in terms of he doesn't complain. He plays his role. He brings energy and effort to the court every night. The only thing we ever see him do is wag his finger after a block shot. Right? That's the only time we ever see him do anything to bring attention to himself. But Mbakke's he really has been great. I mean, like I said, he's not the biggest center, he's not the tallest center, but I think the biggest thing for him is that he's a guy who's just going to play his role, Adam. I mean, he doesn't really get out of his lane or try to expand it to other things, right? Because he knows he's not a feed the post one-on-one player, right? He knows he's not a step out 3-point shooter. So he's really just a great, cog in the system. But I'm telling you, if you have a guy like Mbakke on your team at center, like I would love to have had Mbakke on our teams back in the day to go along with a Taco and a Chad and a Colin, just because he's a guy who's going to come in, set good picks, rebound at him. I mean, Mbakke, he's great. And I think for his future moving forward, it's going to serve him really well in his professional career, because he's such a low maintenance guy, Adam.
We're about 20 games into the season. We're still seeing some mix around with the rotations and things. Is there anybody you think that has earned more minutes that is not really getting the minutes that you think they deserve so far?
Nah, Adam. I think at this point, we've got to try to find some consistency with who's going to play well, right? And like you said, 20 games within the season, you would hope that you would kind of have those things, kind of ironed out. But I mean, I think the rotation that we've had in the games we've been successful is obviously something that you look to, and really just trying to get the best out of the guys. I mean, like I said last week, we play about 10 guys most of the time, so everybody gets an opportunity to show what they can do. I do like having Mbakke and CJ in there just because they're both physical. They're both going to play hard. Like I said, a couple low maintenance guys. But when it comes to the guard play, I think that we just have to find someone who's going to step up and bring that leadership, right? I mean, it can't be overstated what leadership does for a ball club and what it really can do for a team, right? And like I said, I don't like to reflect on the things that I did a ton, but as much as I was able to perform on the court and make shots and do things with the basketball, that was all great. But I always like to believe that my impact was just as equally important in the intangible side, right? In terms of leadership, being good for the culture, being a guy who was going to tell guys, what we weren't doing, and just, kind of being a leader. I mean, it's just plain simple, being a leader and holding guys accountable for what they needed to do, because when the coaches always have to do it, players aren't going to respond to that, right? So I was always going to step up and say something as a player and as one of our more impactful players to try to get that going. To kind of take your question a different way there, Mike, I know you always have the nice, hard-hitting questions, but
Ty Freeman was the guy I was looking for.
you need to ask. Then just say that.
I wanted to see if you were thinking the same as me.
Listen, Mike. Next week, I want you to say, "Listen, I want Ty in the game more." What you think about that? DJ? That's all. That's what I need.
All right. He had 3 minutes against Houston, and I thought he did well in those 3 minutes. I'd like to see a little bit more of him.
He has potential. He has potential. I think the thing with Ty against a Houston is Houston's a physical ball club. Adam, Mike, my fault. That's a physical team, and he's a young player, and he's got a lot of potential. He's got a solid skill set on him. But I think the thing with those guys they're playing, grown men NCAA basketball out there, and I think for Ty, he has to continue to grow and kind of get to the point where coaches can trust him, in those situations.
Last week, Adam asked what it's like to play in a place like Wichita State. Let me ask you that about Memphis. How do you adjust to NBA sightlines and such?
Yeah, Houston is a tough place to play, especially when they're successful. I know this year they've kind of been on this roller coaster, but a Saturday night in Memphis at the FedEx Forum, I would expect that place to be pretty packed. Our guys are going to be coming off a quick Thursday night turnaround. The only good thing that one of the good things we have going for us is that Memphis is playing in Cincinnati, so they're going to have to come home and then play Saturday night as well. So at least that's a good thing. But yeah, Memphis is going to be rocking. It's going to be a tough place to play, and our guys are really going to have to come out and start fast, right? When you're on the road, you want to start fast to try to take the crowd out of it, because if things get going, one way from Memphis and they start front running and they, Penny's over there clapping his hands, doing whatever, it can get difficult, right? So I think our guys are going to have to come out and start fast in that Memphis game to try to take the crowd out of it.
BJ, we just had Kalia Davis from the football team on, and Mike asked him this question. I'll ask you the same. What's the craziest environment you ever played in? What's the craziest arena, maybe the craziest home atmosphere that you were ever a part of?
Yeah, it was Illinois State's, hands down. The first year Coach Dawkins came there, we played them in the Sweet 16 game of the NIT up there in Illinois State, and they had like 4 seniors, and they were a team who everybody expected to make the NCAA tournament because they should have won their conference tournament, but they have actually like a pretty big gym, and they filled it up to capacity. Everybody was wearing red. They threw beer on the refs. They threw stuff on the court. At one point, the clock went out. We had the ball, and the clock went out, and then the clock came back on, and Illinois State had an extra point. It did. They were doing all types of stuff there, but I would say Illinois State for sure. Obviously, Duke in the NCAA tournament was a good atmosphere. It's just that, NCAA tournament games aren't either team's home game, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, Illinois State is always a great atmosphere. Wichita State, especially back when they were rolling with Greg Marshall and Landry Shaman and some of the players they had, was always an incredible atmosphere. And then our atmosphere the night we hosted Illinois in the NIT after we beat Illinois State was incredible. So that's probably my top 3 right there: Illinois State, Wichita State, and then our home game against Illinois was incredible.
They recognized a lot of the former players this past week at the game. I saw you out there having some fun with the guys. How cool was that to get to see all the old guys? And did you know everybody, or some of those guys you guys just got to meet for the first time?
No, Mike, I didn't. I don't
you know all the old guys?
I mostly knew a handful. I mean, listen, my night history doesn't go back to Calvin I didn't know Calvin like that, but I heard he was awesome. I heard Calvin was great. So it was great to mingle and talk to the guys and kind of hear their stories of what UCF used to be, the Golden Knights and how they used to play in the venue and all these different things. But the one thing I'll say about all those guys is that they have a tremendous love, care, and deep passion for UCF, right? And that's the thing we all share. So it was really awesome to talk to those guys, and it was really great by whoever got that together. I didn't even know what was going on, to be honest with you. I was just going to the game, and they told me to go out there, so I was like, I'll go out there, and I like that court, so I'll go.
You weren't formally invited?
I didn't listen. I'm not always checking my emails the way I should, as diligently as I should. So they say they sent me an email and I didn't get it, but it all worked out, Mike. Sometimes things just come together, right? And
right place at the right time.
It's like destiny, right place at the right time. That's how I describe it.
Thank you as well for saying hello to Jan and Britt at the game on Saturday. What's the latest on skills training and how busy you've been with that?
Skills training is going well. Like I said, I'm still relatively busy with it. I've been getting into some other stuff with radio and some TV opportunities. So I'm looking forward to that. Foreshadowing, you might catch me on a UCF call for the basketball team here soon. So just stay tuned, and hopefully we can have a couple former alums doing TV add me along with Mike O'Donnell.
All right, BJ Taylor, we thank you for being with us again on Suns Live, and let's get that victory Thursday against the Cows.
Thanks, BJ.
All right. Hey, guys, 40-plus minutes of good Wi-Fi in my hotel. Starting to weaken a little bit.
This is the Suns of UCF formula, Trace. We go strong for about 30 minutes, off the rails for whatever's left of the show.
Don't worry, I got us covered. You guys both drop
to...
off. I'll fill in with some individual content like last night.
Women's basketball, they continue to roll. They beat Temple. Masseny Kaba with 21 points. Destiny Thomas with 18. They are 15-3 overall, 7-1 in the AAC. Diamond battles AAC Player of the Week. We get asked about her in the mailbag. Up next, Memphis Saturday at 2, then at Houston Wednesday. And softball, we're just a little over a week away until they open at home against 12th-ranked Georgia. If you count up all the votes, they're 26th in the preseason poll, just one out of the top 25. So good luck to softball coming fast at you in about a week or so. Let's open that mailbag. I understand, Adam, that we've got some, as I like to call it in the TV biz, some SOTs, some sound on tape.
This guy. Yeah, we got two video questions this week. The first is more of a group question. It comes courtesy of our friend, the Nightolorian.
What's up, Sons of UCF? This is the whole Twitter mafia out here at the Bounce House tonight. We're out here before the basketball game against Houston. We're here to ask you, what's your favorite UCF Twitter mafia moment? Give us a top 5 list. As always, go Knights!
That's a lot of people walking and talking inside that stadium.
You've started a movement, Trace. They want a top 5 list. This is obviously Mike's lane here. I don't have a top 5. I'm just going to say this. I know I can count on anytime there's a UCF related tweet that you're going to see a Nitro Fire GIF emoji in their comments. Book it. Death, taxes, fire Nitro every single time. And I love you people for it because there's not a missed opportunity out there. We're literally batting 1,000 on that. So I don't care what the moment is. Nitro Fire, you can always count on it. So whoever does that, all of you do that. That's a fantastic little Night Nation Twitter Mafia kind of thing. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can come up with 5, but just the way they fight for that national championship claim that we've been doing for years, and every time somebody makes a joke about it, the Twitter Mafia is all over it. Thousands of responses, putting people in their place. So it's strong, man. That group is strong. I guess we're part of that. We're on Twitter. We're part of UCF. I don't know if I respond to nearly as much as some people. You can't say anything about UCF without them just getting all triggered and bent out of shape. So I don't take it as seriously as them, but good for them.
I will say honorable mention, JP Gilbert has found a lane. Anytime someone enters the transfer portal, you can get the Gus Malzahn smiling on the airplane picture like instantly in return. So JP Gilbert does a great job with the Gus memes and pictures as well.
Cost seg advisor as well. And my term for it would be the Twitter Mafia is unrelenting. You're not going to get anything by them. Don't say anything factually inaccurate. You're going to get called on it. Do we have another celebrity?
We do
this week.
We do. Our friend Robert, once again, best guest booker on the show. I'm going to say it right now, guys. It's the truth. Last week he brought us Jordan Johnson. This week he brings us another guy that probably maybe even a little bit more nameworthy than Jordan Johnson. Here's our celebrity guest question.
What's good, Night Nation? AK here. I got a question on behalf of my guy, 2 letter, 2 words. If you can have only one feature back on your team, what would it be? A speedster or a bruiser? Let me know.
That's a pretty good cameo right there.
Adrian Killens. So not just because he asked the question, although I don't think he's watching now anyway, but I'm going to go speedster. I'm like, nothing for me was more exciting than when you knew AK was going to get the ball and there was just a little little bit of daylight, everyone assumed he was going however many yards were away from the end zone. So give me that guy. As much as I love Bowser knocking dudes over and getting 3 yards and moving chains, when AK got the ball and there was just a glimmer of hope, I don't care who you were, you stood up on your seat, you got to the edge of your chair because you thought he could take it to the house. So give me that kind of game-breaking speed like AK had.
Yeah, he could do it from anywhere. And we've seen him at Michigan. What was it, about 87 yards? The game against Memphis when he went, 96 yards, 94 yards, something like that. Incredible. And nobody could catch that guy. So we do miss that. We have that with O'Keefe, and we use it with O'Keefe. We hand him the ball. We throw it to him deep. So we're not missing. We have that, and we have Bowser. I like the mix that we have. You make me pick one. Traditionally, I go with the Bruiser, but since AK asked the question, I'll go with the Speedster today.
Put me down for Speedster. At eBell90. Early signing day, he's saying the early signing day haul seems a little bit low. How do you evaluate what you saw from early signing day and the transfer portal at this point?
Check back at the end of the year with the record, right? I mean, that's really how you have to evaluate these things these days, because classes are going to be so disjointed with double signing days now, with transfer portal and multiple windows for guys to transfer in. So I don't even know how you're equating a signing class. I thought it was interesting. UCF put out their signing day graphic today, and it was both high school recruits and it was the transfers, all kind of in one package, little graphic there. So I think they've done a great job filling positions of need, particularly with the portal. But I don't know that we ever really know how well these things play out. The only, I guess, good thing with the transfer portal is we're finding it out sooner, because some of these guys only have 1 year of eligibility left. So you're finding, like a big cat, you're finding that out sooner. So while it seems light, I feel like they went for the right guys in the right spots. So I'm okay with the numbers as long as the productivity is there.
Yeah, today's signing day has lost all its luster because of the early signing day and the transfer portal. And it's going to keep continuing throughout the summer. So we can add another 5 guys between now and the time camp opens. So I'm not worried about the number of commits right now. I'm sure the roster is going to be full. We're not going to have just scholarships sitting on the table, not being able to give out to guys. They're going to get filled. They're going to get filled with quality players.
Scott S. Morrow, predictions on final record for men's hoop. Schedule not easy. Let me roll through that real quick, guys. South Florida, at Memphis, Wichita State, Tulsa home, at Houston, ECU, Cincinnati, at Tulane, at Tulsa. What do you got? Can they do 5 and 4?
Well, I'm going to answer using his question, Trace. The second part of it is he said it's not an easy schedule. He sees 7 or 8 more wins depending upon which team shows up. And that's the biggest thing to this question is if we're going to get a team that's going to show up like they did against Michigan, going to show up against some of the or Miami game earlier in the year, then I feel really good about coming out with 6-7 wins, right? I think that's a doable task. But if you get a team that showed up against the Cows, you get a team that sleepwalked through the early part of ECU. Even Houston, I'll give them a pass on that good team. But Wichita State, another game that we weren't really ever able to maintain. So I don't know what team we're going to get. So based on that math alone, I'm going to go 5 just because I'm going to go law of averages and say we're going to toss in a couple of these sleeper games because we've done that pretty much every third or fourth game at this point. So I hope I'm wrong. But until we know what team we're going to get, I don't know that I can say we're going to get 6, 7, 8 wins.
Well, 5 and 4 would put us at 500 in conference play, right? And we finished 10 and 10, something like that. So, it is what it is at this point. You just got to take it one game at a time, just like at football. We always talk about 1-0. 1-0.
1-0. Here we go.
And it starts tomorrow night. That's it.
Mike Heupel's here.
The team definitely can't look at it, as a 7-game or 9-game stretch. And as fans, we're going to have to start looking at it one at a time too. Just tomorrow night, and then after tomorrow's done, we'll look to Saturday.
Cost seg advisor saying Big 12 going to be exciting. He thinks UCF's exposure will lead to improved talent levels, and they're going to be able to play in the league. It's going to take a big step up in recruiting for Coach Dawkins and his staff to compete in that Big 12.
Yeah, this is what has me concerned. We talked about this on the show this week. This was the team. This was the year, Trace. I think you had the stat early on. 97% of our points returned this year from the previous year. So you would have thought that this would have been the year with all the veteran talent coming back, all of the guys who knew Johnny's system. This would be the year that we'd springboard. Again, to Mike's point, it is what it is. We'll figure that out. But next year, we get significantly younger. So, what can we do with that team? And are we able to infuse enough talent to bring that together? I think that's the challenging part about it. I think Kostek is right. You're going to continue to get recruits and you're going to be playing in these big gyms and maybe you're going to get in some more living rooms and get some kids. But I think next year is going to be really interesting on what we assume is the doorstep year into the Big 12. Can we compete? Can we play well? But I mean, it's going to be a young team next year. And do we have the horses? Can we get the horses in to get in there and compete right away? Jury's still out for me on that one.
Yeah, we're going to have to utilize the transfer portal there too to get some experience on this team. And that's not easy in basketball because, and we've seen it the last few years, these guys need time to gel. They need at least 10 games to start getting things rolling. And now look, it's already been 20 and it still doesn't seem like we've figured it completely out. That's it.
You got me, guys?
I'm shocked by Mike's words too, Trace. I don't know if you are. He must be. I don't know if he can hear. He must not hear his mic. He is speechless. Mike has rendered him speechless. He's looking right at us, though, which is awkward. Yeah. He sees our mouse moving, yes?
Trace, raise your hand if you can hear us. He does not hear us.
He does not hear us. He smiled, and he's gone. He's smiling through that mic. The next one up was, this is at Bolts Knight, wants to know, how close is the women's basketball team to being a lock for the tournament? Or do we think they're basically in already, kind of like Trace is back in the show right now? Trace, the women's basketball team lock for the tournament.
Yeah, if you've got me back, Wi-Fi is going a little wonky here at my hotel in Tallahassee. I think the women's basketball team is at least an at-large. I think it's a lock, and they're going to still have an opportunity to win the AAC. They got a battle with the Cows coming down the stretch here. So they play really good defense. They're going to be in it every game. I think they're a lock for at least an at-large.
It gets a little tricky because, a team can surprise somebody and win the conference tournament. All of a sudden, that takes a bit away from the league. It's not like we've been blowing teams out. We're winning, yes, and we're 7-1 in conference. We've had a lot of close games recently. We have to, I think, keep continuing. I don't think we're a lock of anything right now. If we keep it up and keep the playing like we have been, we'll find ourselves in the tournament. But nothing's guaranteed. We still have a few games to go.
Robert, 2 letters, 2 words. He's asking about NIL deals, all that are happening. How has Diamond Battles not gotten one? Charismatic, winning team, quality athlete, heck of a name. Why not yet?
First off, Robert wins the comment of the night there. That's a good one. Nothing works in Tallahassee. That's a great question. I mean, I think I read The Athletic had an article, I could be wrong on this, where the average NIL athlete was earning $50 or something like that on a deal. So I'm curious to figure out, has the NIL bubble burst? Is this really just something that captures some of the bigger name players? But you would think that Diamond Battles, there's some easy, marketing tie-ins there. I'm not sure if Zales Jewelers is still a thing, right? That feels like an option. A place where you throw axes maybe for her last name. You would think with her personality, she could grab a deal or two. But I'm not sure how the NIL thing is really kind of playing out. I'd love more data and research on really where people are winning at this and what the benefits have been. But you would think somebody like that in a hypersensitive market like UCF, that we'd have some options there.
Yeah, obviously the $50 is averaged out after a quarterback in Alabama gets $1 million. For every one of those guys, there's thousands of guys that are getting nothing. So that's where that $50 comes from. And it's going to be hard as a women's basketball player, especially at a school like UCF, where, I mean, there's 20 people at those games. It's not like we're selling out the arena for those games. It's going to be hard to scrape up an NIL deal. It's not like she's playing at Connecticut or Tennessee or one of these places where maybe the women will get more chances like that.
A couple of questions related to the Gators FSU series moving from Saturday to Black Friday at Carroll 1024. What do you think about that? And my buddy Manny Amores saying, should Miami follow suit and schedule FAU and FIU for a state triple header on that Friday? I think what it also signifies is that we're coming to the end of that UCF War on I-4 rivalry too.
Yeah, I like the UF FSU game. It reminds me of my high school days where the JV game was before the varsity game, right? So you play the JV game with FSU UF and the varsity game with UCF and the Cows. Makes sense.
that game has fallen in the last few years to like on ESPN Plus now. It used to be a marquee ABC game, CBS game, and 3:30, and now it's nothing. It's a noon game, and I had to move it to a Friday night just to kind of give it a little more juice.
Well, let's wrap it up with this from Sublime_Night. Today, announcement that the Cows are going to be adding women's beach volleyball, which I give them credit for that addition. He's asking, which men's and women's sports would you like to see added? Swimming, lacrosse, beach volleyball. I think beach volleyball would be one, but we've also talked about track, and I think, Mike, you mentioned lacrosse recently.
Yeah, I mean, lacrosse seems to be a growing sport, especially down here in the South. I know it's huge up north, but I've seen people playing down here at the parks all the time, so I think that'd be interesting. But I think probably have to add a women's sport, if anything, next. And beach volleyball seems like a fun one.
Yeah, I'd be pro beach volleyball. It's an Olympic sport right now. It's got a lot of momentum. I think we talked last week about swimming. I think Florida's a state where the UF program has a pretty relatively good swimming program. But I think beach volleyball is interesting. I think that'd be a fun one. It's a outdoor sport. It's perfect for the Florida weather. I mean, volleyball players, especially on the beach, running in sand, jumping, especially if it's 2v2. There's a ton of athleticism involved in that. So I think you'd find some really good athletes there. So I'd be pro volleyball on that one. I could get behind that.
Adam, let me ask you this. If you missed the pod this week, is it better to listen to the audio or to watch the video on the Suns YouTube channel?
Man, I don't even really know. I mean, listen, we tried something new this week. We typically just do those via audio, but we recorded it. That's the first time Mike and I have ever actually looked at each other during a podcast. He kept staring at me, which was awkward. And so we were waiting for a guest that never materialized. It's all good fun. Look, it's not our best effort, but we have some entertaining moments in there. Mike goes solo for a period of time. You don't want to miss that. So some good stuff in there. I say watch the video because you may never see another one again. This may be the one and only Sons of UCF podcast video. So get it while you can, friends.
People can't get enough of us on these shows. Look at us. Now we're doing 2 live shows a week.
It's only live, but yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. Video shows anyway. So
What about a live pod? How about a live pod?
I mean, the way we did it last night, we could have just put it live at the same time. It's possible. We've done Twitter Spaces before a couple times. So why not?
I like it, guys. All right. Wonky internet here in Tallahassee. I will be back in Orlando at the UCF game for Thursday night. Want to thank Kalia Davis, BJ Taylor for joining us. Of course, you, Adam, Mike, it has been enjoyable as always. Thanks for bearing with me on some internet issues up here in Tallahassee. And I look forward to seeing you back on Suns Live next Thursday.
Trace, travel safe, my friend. Always a pleasure. Everybody have a fantastic week. Let's go Knights. Let's crush the Cows. Go Knights.
Charge on.
Down. Go Knights.